Hello everybody, welcome back to CNS Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. Today we are going to do a deep dive into the rise and the gradual decline of the baby boomer collector car market and what it means for Corvettes specifically. Phase one of what we're going to call the baby boomer collector car market began really in 2000 to 2007. Baby boomers at that point were 40 to 55 years of age. They were oftentimes empty nesters, they owned successful businesses, or they were retirees beginning to spend wealth. They wanted the cars from their high school days. Now, if you watched our channel before, you know I've talked about how the nostalgia-driven collector car hobby is based on, it's almost always cyclical, and it's almost always whatever car you dreamt about when you were 16 to 25 or your senior year in high school. So no different for the people who are the baby boomers. They wanted the cars from their high school days. 55 to 57 Chevys, 63 to 7 Corvettes, 64 to 70 Mustangs, GTOs, Plymouth Roadrunners, Dodge Chargers, Chevelle SSs. Demand outpaced supply, and typical appreciation was 5 to 10% annually during the years of 2000 to 2007 as this really got spun up. From a personal standpoint, I can tell you I was at Corvettes of Carlisle every year from 98 all the way till last year, and I remember distinctly how much money and excitement was there for the 50s, 60s, and early 70s cars in the beginning of the 2000s. Prices just kept going up, up, up. And you'd hear that somebody paid X amount for a car, and you'd be like, that's crazy. And 10 minutes later, you'd hear about somebody paying $10,000 more for an identical car. And you couldn't keep up with how fast, specifically, the 63 to 7 Corvettes were going up in price. That brings us on to phase two, which was the financial crisis of 2008 through 2010. Several things affected the rise in the collector car market. Obviously, the housing crash interrupted the boom. Luxury purchases were slowed because people kind of withdrew their financial tentacles and were being a little more careful. Auction prices weakened necessarily. Many believed the collector car market had peaked and that it was all going to start going downhill from there. Instead, this turned out to be only a temporary pause. The strongest cars, the most original, the most desirable, the rarest, recovered quickly because wealthy buyers retained their buying power. They weren't really affected on a day-to-day basis by the downturn. Interest rates collapsed completely, so alternative investments became attractive. We're going to talk about that again here shortly, but not only were these people looking at it as, well, I can have money sitting in a bank at virtually no interest rate, or I can invest in a tangible asset that A, I can drive and enjoy and get 5 to 10 to 15% a year return on my money. Why not, right? And they did in droves. And so because of these reasons, by mid-2011, the market had resumed climbing. Phase three, from 2011 through 2019, is what we're going to call the golden age. This was the strongest sustained period in modern collector car history. Boomers were now 55 to 70 years old. Their disposable income pretty much had peaked. Retirements had been accelerated. Many purchased their dream car, which, of course, upon retirement is usually when you do that. Also, and this is important, companies like Bring a Trailer fundamentally changed the market by making national exposure and transparent bidding available to far more collectors, increasing liquidity and confidence in price discovery. So you weren't having to go to Barrett-Jackson or Mecum and stand there in person to bid on your dream car, and you weren't subject to just those cars and kind of the cabal that controlled those cars. Bringatrailer.com and now carsandbids.com have really opened this up to where anybody with the money can pretty much get their hands on whatever car they want. Typical appreciation, many of the cars that are special, 67 Corvette, 70 Chevelle, we'll go through the whole list in a minute. Many cars doubled in value in this time, some tripled. Just to give you an idea, 67 big block Corvette went up 150 to 250% in that 2011 to 2019 time period. The 70 Chevelle SS 454 up 200 to 300%, same time period. 69 Camaro Z28 150 to 250% upward. A 1965 Shelby GT350, over 300% increase. A Hemi Cuda, over 500% increase. And a Boss 429 Mustang, well over 300% increase. Not every car appreciated equally, but the overall direction was unmistakably upward. That brings us to phase 4, the pandemic boom, 2020 through 2022. This period was extraordinary as several events occurred simultaneously. We had already historically low interest rates, excess household savings because you couldn't really travel, you couldn't go on vacation, you couldn't really do anything during the pandemic. You had stimulus payments coming from the government, record stock market gains, increased time for hobbies, and rapid growth in online auctions. Also, even in the most serious lockdown places, what was basically the one thing you were still allowed to do? That's right, you were allowed to drive. And why not drive a collector car or a special car and get the joy out of it with less traffic on the road and nowhere to be? So this confluence of events resulted in the fastest appreciating collector car history. Some cars increased 40 to 80% in value in just 2 years. Average quality cars sold for prices previously reserved for the concourse restorations. Looking back, this truly was, this 3-year period was the peak of the baby boomer driven market. And then things start to change. This brings us to the phase we're currently in, what I'm calling phase 5, the transition. The market has fundamentally changed, not collapsed, changed. In my view, here's the biggest reasons. Number 1, demographics. Demographics are the most important factor because it's all about nostalgia and what you wanted when you were young and couldn't afford it, but now you're in a position where you can. So boomers created demand for 30 years, but now many are downsizing, simplifying their collections, selling estates, driving less. The market is receiving more inventory now than it did a decade ago, and increased supply lowers prices, especially on cars that are nice but aren't special. Also, younger buyers want different cars. People of my generation, Generation X, and even millennials are now entering peak purchasing years. At least most of them are. I'm still not there. Their dream cars are different. Instead of 57 Chevy 69 GTOs and C2, C3 Corvettes, they want things like the Acura NSX, the Mazda RX-7, the Toyota Supra, Fox body Mustangs, BMW M3s, the 89 to 98 kind of Porsche 911s, and Nissan Skylines. It's kind of like the Fast and the Furious effect because when these guys were kids or teenagers, the Fast and the Furious movies came out and they started looking outside of the domestic market for things that they thought were cool. The remaining collector car market has become much more selective. 20 years ago, just being a nice clean Corvette or Chevelle or Mustang was enough. You were going to get top dollar. Today, buyers are still willing to pay top dollar, but they want exceptionally maintained and original cars, or they want resto mods that are exceedingly well done. Average cars are not bringing top dollar anymore because there's simply far too many of them. Now, as you know, I did a deep dive online looking at Haggerty and a bunch of other places and kind of prognosticating which cars, collector cars, boomer collector cars, are going to be the winners going forward. Shelby Mustangs, you're never going to lose on a Shelby Mustang. Boss 429 Mustangs, Copo Camaros, anything Yenko, Hemi Mopars, L88 Corvettes, Fuelie C1 Corvettes still, 63 split windows, rare European exotics, and original survivor cars. Those are always going to maintain their value. They may not continue to rise like they used to, but they're not going to fall off the side of a cliff and all of a sudden be worth half of what they were. Those cars have genuine rarity. They have international demand, which is important today, and they have historical importance. The most vulnerable collector cars to serious price and value decreases over the next few years, ordinary C3 Corvettes. Small block 75 ain't going to be a $25,000 car no matter how you cut it. Small block Chevelles, automatic transmission muscle cars. They don't bring the money that the 4-speeds do. Modified cars. You painted that mural on the inside and the outside of your hood to win car shows on that beautiful car, but that's going to hurt your resale value going forward. Older restorations, the older restorations are going to need maintenance and upkeep, and people aren't willing to pay for a restoration that happened in 1998. 1950s full-size sedans, they had just started to come up at the peak about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and they've fallen off a cliff. They were never the hot commodity, and they are back down to being very affordable. Also, common convertibles, that don't have a special engine or special suspension, just a convertible, they are less popular than the coupes of their versions of their cars. In summary, the long-term view, from what I can tell moving forward, is every generation eventually buys the cars it admired when it was 16 to 25 years old. That's well established. We talk about it all the time. The best 50s through 70s cars will always be important and hold their value. The larger risk is in the middle of the market. Thousands of restored but non-rare cars that appreciated due to huge boomer demand at the same time. As the boomers exit the market, however, those cars will become far more common in the market and prices will plummet. If the demographic thesis I set forward earlier is correct, we are only a third of the way through this generational transition. Boomers are still the largest ownership group in the collector car hobby. Over the next decade, as more collections come to market and younger buyers continue to favor the 80s through 2000s enthusiast cars, the separation between classic and truly exceptional cars will become even more pronounced. So, as these younger guys, especially in our little world of Corvette, as the younger kids, like the guys I've got working here, get into the C5s and the C6s and they start messing about with body kits and performance and this and that, that's where that end of the hobby is going. But these guys, as they make more money, are going to want the newer Corvettes, and they will want a C7 Z06 someday or a C8 Z06. And the market, the whole cycle will continue. But in the meantime, be careful if you're looking to buy a car, and be educated if you're looking to sell one, to make sure you're not over asking or under asking when you're buying or selling. I hope that you found this informative. I put a lot of work into this, and credit to Tony. He did a lot of digging for good pictures and stuff, so thank Tony for this. I want your comments below. Let me know what you think about this, and if you have other ideas, put it in there. I look forward to reading them. Thanks so much for joining us today.